So if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group. And I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the away. Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this.
Scott Adams there, who's the creator of the Dilbert comic strip, we've seen before saying ridiculous things. He went on a bit of a racist tirade because he's sick of black people. In fact, he's sick of helping black people because, he's dedicated his life to helping black people because black people need his damn help. Somehow he thinks. Either way it goes, he's gonna get to the reasons why he said this stupid thing over the weekend. But also he did mention Don Lemon as he went on this racist tirade. Let's let him continue.
So that's what I did. I went to a neighborhood where, I have a very low black population. Because unfortunately, there's a high correlation between the density. And this is according to Don Lemon, by the way. So here I'm just quoting Don Lemon when he notes that when he lived in a mostly black neighborhood, there were a bunch of problems that he didn't see in white neighborhoods. So even Don Lemon sees a big difference in your own quality of living based on where you live and who's there.
There can't be many people that are this clueless, but as you see what he's espousing there is black folks are inferior to white people is what he's saying. In fact, he's attributed that to Don Lemon, who probably had more to say to behind why the neighborhood that he happened to be in had issues. I've lived in black neighborhoods. I've lived in black neighborhoods that are in much better shape than many white neighborhoods. That's an anecdotal story. So who cares what you think? Either way it goes, Scott Adams here wants to go on these tirades. It got worse because he was mad about other things. But before we get to how bad it got, it was bad enough that many newspapers dropped his comic strip, which I thought many of them already did a few years ago. So Dilbert was dropped by the Post and also other papers after this racist rant is what was pointing out. This is a poll he was talking about when he went through that whole thing about how his reasons for being so upset about this was that he felt black folks have figured out this reverse racism against white folks and they just don't want them around. In fact, I guess he thinks they want them gone. Who knows? He's just mad. So this is a poll that he was referring to that happened, that he was talking about that led him down this path. He was referring to a recent Rasmussen report survey of 1,000 American adults who were asked if they agreed with this statement. Quote, "It's okay to be white," which is a phrase the Anti-Defamation League has labeled as hate speech. Yet according to Rasmussen, 72% of Americans agreed with the statement, including 53% of black respondents. 22% of Americans disagreed with that statement though, which included 26% of black folks. So he was frustrated, he was angry about that. I can't be around black folks anymore because they hate me. Not paying attention to the aspects of that phrase and where it came from. He doesn't have to because he's the supreme being in his own brain. But he said one more piece about this. Let's let him continue one more.
So I think it makes no sense whatsoever as a white citizen of America to try to help black citizens anymore. It doesn't make sense. It's no longer a rational impulse. And so I'm gonna back off from being helpful to black America because it doesn't seem like it pays off. Like I've been doing it all my life and the only outcome is I get called a racist. That's the only outcome. It makes no sense to help black Americans if you're white. It's over. Don't even think it's worth trying.
So, Jess, he's on this rant about helping black Americans and whatever the hell he thinks he's doing by helping black Americans, but it's based off of his white supremacy. What are your thoughts here?
This is ridiculous. Dude, you live in America, right? You're a cartoonist in America. You make commentary about the society we live in, but he has no awareness of it. Like, until very recently, there were laws that prevented Black people from being full participants in our society in the United States, from the right to vote, not being able to participate in our political system, from being in separate schools, not being able to participate in our education system, not even being allowed to go to college, being denied from financial institutions to open bank accounts and get credit cards. You can't fully participate in our economy, not to mention being excluded from holding jobs so you can provide for your families. It's insane to me that he can understand the circumstances that Black people in America grew up in, understanding that even though some of these laws are repealed, the culture and the systems that maintain racism are very much alive and well. White supremacy is still a part of our culture today. How can he imagine being a Black person in America and growing up under these systems, and then he has the nerve to say Black people are mean because when he interacts with them, they call him racist? How can you come to the conclusion, people keep calling me racist, they must be the problem because they're not thankful when I help them? What is this man's definition of help? It's honestly insane. Honestly, racists in America like never miss a good chance to just shut up these days. They just feel the need to speak on things they don't understand. He doesn't even live in a neighborhood with a lot of Black people, he said.
He said he made sure he got away from Black folks, actually. The drumbeat of racism never stops, so that's why they get so upset when folks respond to it. One more piece, let's go to Sot for you guys, because as he's frustrated that people keep calling him a racist, maybe it's because he keeps saying racist things.
And I'm also really sick of seeing video after video of Black Americans beating up non-Black citizens. I realize it's anecdotal, and it doesn't give me a full picture of what's happening. But every damn day I look on social media and there's some Black person beating the head end of some white person. I'm kind of over it.
Weird, because he goes online and every damn day he's seeing Black folks beating white folks, just beating them up. Why don't you show up and start helping? Why don't you go out and start peeling these Black folks off of all of these good-natured white folks that you see every day on the internet? Crazy how he just make things up like this. But he wonders, everybody keeps calling me racist. Again, one part about the whether or not in case you guys are hung up on the is it okay to be white? This is actually some of the details of why and where that whole statement of is it okay to be white came from. Over from the ADL who pointed this out. The phrase, it's okay to be white, quote unquote, is a slogan popularized in late 2017 as a trolling campaign by members of the controversial discussion forum 4chan. The original idea behind the campaign was to choose an ostensibly innocuous and inoffensive slogan, put that slogan on flyers bereft of any other words or imagery, then place the flyers in public locations. Originators assumed that, quote, libs would react negatively to such flyers and condemn them or take them down, thus proving that liberals did not even think it was, quote, okay to be white. As usual, whenever it comes to these declarations that they try to come and insert into the public discourse to talk about how there's all this discrimination towards white folks. And if you disagree, that means you hate white people. If you teach about the systems of racism that's still embedded in many of our systems here that discriminate against Black and brown and other minorities in this country, then you're making it uncomfortable for young white kids and they might start hating themselves. It all goes back to you guys don't want to acknowledge white supremacy. No, we actually want to talk about the things that have happened, the reasons why you find many of these situations that you're so disgusted by. So of course, when many folks hear someone say the term, hey, isn't it okay to be white? We know what's baked into that. You're saying we're going to dismiss all of the racism that we've had throughout our history, and we're going to say anyone who calls it out now hates white people. That's the whole point of that line. That's why 53%, probably around 53% of Black folks that respond to that said, yeah, that's BS. We've heard that before. We know where that comes from. We know what it's actually doing. We see how it's deflecting from the actual problems in our society that you guys claim to be complaining about.
I don't understand how this man can't see that his entitlement to be treated like he's better than everybody else, right? He has this sense of pretentiousness. Like, why are these people calling me racist? That's very inconvenient for me, and therefore you shouldn't do it. That's the epitome of white male supremacy. You are embodying this exact thing. It's also a perfect example of confirmation bias, right? He's saying, I go on the computer and I always see all of these things. Okay, well, social media and the way you're fed videos today runs on algorithms. And there's probably a reason that when you are a racist person, you say things like he said in this video, which was perfect confirmation that he is in fact racist, and the black people that called him racist were correct. But when you have those conversations, the algorithm's going to feed you content that affirms your biases. And that's a huge problem as well, because they're taking this information as data, and he acknowledges it's anecdotal, but he doesn't see his own role in seeking it out.
Not at all, and because there's absolutely nothing wrong he could do. It's always someone else's fault, is what he's got. So there's Dilbert, no longer in many newspapers, and then he's back and forth with Elon Musk saying, I don't know, I don't read those papers. Good, no one else is reading your comics in those papers either.